Hello on this Thanksgiving morning in California. And one of the really wonderful qualities that gradually grew in me as I did my early years of practice, it kind of grew unexpectedly, unknowingly at first. It just kind of had a slow, gradual something awakening in me. And what it was a deep appreciation, a deep kind of gratitude uh, for life, for meditation, for breathing, for awareness, being present, for the communities I sat with. It was almost as if it was appreciation and gratitude for no reason or for no subject of what I'm appreciating, no subject for what I'm grateful for. It was a state of gratitude, a state of appreciation that didn't need a reason. And I can't explain to you exactly how that arose or how to have that kind of, but it had a lot to do with becoming undistracted in a soft, open, careful way, and the opportunity to stay close to my direct experience, an opportunity to be here at home in the present moment without a lot of preoccupations, a lot of desires, a lot of aversions, distractions, just here in a simple way. And maybe it was the appreciation, the gratitude came from the simplicity of being, the miracle of being, just here and now. So to assume a meditation posture, a posture that for you is suitable to experience a simplicity of being, a posture for finding a deep contentment, comfort, for just being alive at this moment in and of itself. Of course, there are problems and issues and things going on, but to settle through them, to not be caught in those concerns, to be able to let them be there on the side for now, to be able to settle in here to the simplest way of just being alive. So a posture for that, whatever posture that's good for you. And to gently close your eyes. And to lower your attention, like you would lower yourself into a comfortable bath. Lower your awareness into the bathtub of your body. And feel your body from the inside out. As if maybe the awareness is almost like the gentle water lapping up the sides of the bathtub, the lake, the pool, with awareness feeling and sensing your body just as it is, just as it appears. And then to take some fuller breaths as a way of touching your rib cage, your belly, your chest, touching your body more fully, almost like the inhale touches all around, the stretching, the moving of the rib cage, being touched by the movement of breathing. And as you exhale, maybe a longer exhale than usual, like ride the exhale all the way to the end. Letting go as you take that ride, that slide, with breathing out. Letting your breathing return to normal. And to find in your body, in your torso, deep inside, is there a place of quiet appreciation, quiet feelings of gratitude, quiet feelings of maybe contentment or simplicity deep inside, kind of deeper than any of your concerns, preoccupations. Right here. And maybe as you breathe, to have the breathing influenced by gratitude. Have your breathing with appreciation. Breathing itself arises out of contentment, here and now, in the simplicity of breathing. as we come to the end of this sitting, is there some way now that you could touch into the simplicity of being, putting aside your thoughts and concerns, past and futures, simply being here in the simplest possible way, breathing, feeling the body, allowing yourself to be as you are, with a kind of gentle intimacy to your present moment experience. And might there be some appreciation of that simplicity of being, maybe a contentment that doesn't require a reason to be content, a simple appreciation that doesn't require something to be appreciating, anything particular, just appreciation. A gratitude that doesn't need something to be grateful for. A gratitude for the simplicity of just being alive and breathing and sensing, that is below any level, any preoccupation of thinking, free of any stories, evaluations. And might that appreciation, gratitude, have space within it for the people you'll encounter today, for the food that you'll eat, for whatever circumstances of life that support you, that hold you. May your simplicity of being allow the flow of simple gratitude, simple appreciation, here and now, just here, just now. May all beings be appreciated. May all beings be respected, cared for. May all beings receive thanks. May all beings be loved and respected. May all beings experience kindness and friendship. And may our simplicity of being be the source from which our appreciation, thankfulness, care, and kindness flow. May we touch each other's hearts. Thank you. So, hello, good morning on this Thanksgiving Day in the United States. It's kind of remarkable to have a whole day that's dedicated to Thanksgiving, giving thanks. And it's been one of the surprises for me in my years of Buddhist practice. How much deep gratitude, how much deep appreciation this practice has evoked in me. And surprised to me about how all the different ways that gratitude, appreciation comes along, arises. Sometimes for the people who have supported me knowingly and unknowingly, inspired me in ways in my practice, along the path of practice, inspired me with their goodness. And sometimes it's been a deep appreciation for life itself, a gratitude for life, to be part of this amazing life systems of this planet, which I can appreciate and feel tremendous great gratitude for. Maybe because it, I don't understand it fully. I don't try to understand it. Maybe there's a deeper way of living that is deeper than understanding. A deep, deep kind of simplicity of being that is free of the challenges and the viewpoints that come from how we think. Certainly I love thinking. It's a part of my thinking is my friend. I have a very, very friendly relationship to thinking. It's also great to experience life free of thinking. And one of the things that I look back at in my practice is all the time that I sat in my early years in a Zen meditation hall. It's called a Zendo. And in retrospect, there was there tended to be very simple, empty rooms. Sometimes they had altars and nice statues of Buddhist statues, but they were relatively simple. And they had no, thinking back, except for maybe flowers on the altar, there was no life there. There was no flowers or trees, or they tended not to have windows, so you couldn't really look outside at the natural world outside. And the way we would meditate would be sitting facing a wall that was maybe sometimes only a foot or two from where my knees were, sometimes further back, and maybe a yard, and we would meditate with our eyes open. And so there wasn't really anything interesting to look at. Sometimes the floor, sometimes the wall, of course, but it wasn't, anything in particular. And what became clear, what stood out in highlight, and that kind of little bit of, they never talked about this, but kind of sensory deprivation. I never felt like I was being deprived. Was that for the hours of sitting there, the life that stood out, the life that was alive and living, was the life that was in me at that present moment. And at some point, rather than living in my thoughts, I began living in the lived life of the present. That was where life was. That's where the wonder of the natural world was appearing and being. That's what was really, in a certain way, really existed as a life in that moment, was only what was happening as I breathed, as I sat in this body, as I thought, and as I had emotions. And so these things began to kind of appear in kind of a highlight where it became clear that I should care for it. It became clear that there were choices of using my thoughts in ways that diminished the quality of my life, or in thinking in ways that did not diminish it, that allowed it to be. It never occurred to me to try to improve the quality of my inner life. It just occurred to me not to harm it, not to diminish it. And to sit there with that simple dedication, not making it worse. I came to delight in the simplicity of being, just being here, being alive. And so much started to disappear in my thinking, my judgments, my stories, all this kind of preoccupations that diminished me, that limited me. And the marvel of this thing that happened was that there arose this wonderful sense of appreciation. We would always end our meditations with bowing. And for me, it was a bow of appreciation. And after a while, it was difficult not to do it. I felt something was really wrong because I wanted to have some way to express that appreciation. And then living in monasteries, we had to bow to each other a lot as we passed each other in pathways. And this wonderful bow, even when I didn't want to do it, there was something that changed in my heart. It touched that place of appreciation. It touched that place of some gratitude. And to go through the day, I once counted how many times I had to bow before 10 o'clock in the morning. And just in the rituals we all did. And I think I got up to 50 bows. And but then, that just was the beginning of the day. And there was something marvelous about just dipping my head slightly, coming forward, putting my hands together, and bowing. And something opened inside of my heart every time, little drops, little kind of openings. So much so that when after 3 years in the monastery, I left and I went to Berkeley, California. From the next day, I was walking down a street there called, those of you know, College Avenue, and there were a lot of people where the stores are, and near the Ashby and College, and I was all these people were passing by, strangers, and I just wanted to bow to them because that's what we did in the monastery when we passed each other, and I couldn't do it because they probably thought I was weird. And then I saw across the street, down the street, someone I'd met at the monastery, and I ran after her. Partly it was nice to say hello to her, but partly I ran after her because I just really wanted to bow to someone. It's just like I had to appreciate or be grateful or have this kind of sentiment in my heart step forward. And so this simplicity of being, of just being intimately connected to the living life here in this stark environment of the Zendo. It was almost like I didn't have to meditate. It was just like almost like meditation maybe it was a distraction. in a formal meditation, doing something, from just being in touch with a lived life as it was happening in the present moment, and settling into it. And what that also did, it began to then awaken in me a greater appreciation and gratitude for the other people in my life. When I saw people expressing compassion to others, to myself, how they lived their life, that simplicity of being just felt such gratitude, such delight in them, and it informed me. I saw people who lived had a simplicity of being. There was no complications, no big social games, no greed, hate, and delusion. It touched something really deep inside of me that I recognized, and I just loved and appreciated this some kind of purity. I saw people be acts of generosity, and it would just move me to know to a great degree how generous people were, and even simple ways like just being able to offer, thanks to the generosity of offering thanks. And I'll give you one example, and then I have to stop. There was once at the Zen Center, there was a gathering of the Zen masters who lived in the primary Zen masters in the United States. Back then there weren't that many. And there were maybe 7, 8 of them who came. Most of them were Japanese, some American. And they were having just a meeting among themselves. They had business to take care of, and something. And nice to meet and just hang out with each other. And but then they had one evening. They had a panel to be able to answer questions from the Zen students there. And so they were sitting at this table, all in a row, and they were answering questions. And then some of the students at the Zen Center came around to offer them some water to drink or tea to drink, and they would come and put a glass in front of them, kind of come gently, quietly from behind, and not to disturb them, and put something there. And I think most of the Zen masters were kind of maybe involved in the conversation and the question and answer, and didn't notice or didn't really register that what was being given to them. But we came to the last one in the row, and someone came around and put the water or something in front of him. And maybe it stood out because the other ones hadn't done this. He turned around and bowed and said thank you to the person who had given him just the water right then. And I said, wow, even that simplicity of someone doing such a simple thing and taking the time to really thank them, that inspired me. That was a change moment for me to see that. And so as the point being that I would try to convey is that as I was sitting and discovering the tremendous value of this simplicity of being, that it made me more sensitive, more aware of the goodness around me. And to be in an environment where there was a lot of goodness, not just in the Buddhist community, but I started seeing it in town and around people who were not Buddhists, and wow, this is cool. And that's been one of the great delights of this Buddhist life, is the delight of becoming increasingly sensitive, increasingly appreciative of how much goodness there is in this world. A world where it's very easy to be overwhelmed by how much what's terrible is happening. I would venture to guess that for every major thing that's terrible, there's a much, much more goodness that's going on. And may we all contribute to that goodness. So, thank you.